It's a quiet courtroom, but the tension in the air is undeniable. The witness takes a deep breath as the judge invites him to revisit the most painful day of his life. March 23, 2000, a date forever etched in his memory. He recalls being on the road, unaware that within minutes, everything he believed about his family was about to shatter. When the phone rang, he expected answers. What he got instead was devastation. The voice on the other end told him he was not the father.
At the time I was on 161 in Irving, and I called. And so the lady, she asked me a bunch of information, to tell me. That she asked me if I was sure I wanted the results over the phone. So now I'm laughing because I'm like, well, yeah, and so she gave them to me. And she was like, in the case of Myron Morrell Johnson Jr., Myron Morrell Johnson Sr. is like 98.6% not the father, basically. So I I'm thinking it's a full 100 or it's whatever.
And you're driving at this point.
I'm driving. And so I merged over to just kind of ask. I heard her the first time, but I just asked her to confirm it. And she told me again, she was like, yeah, there's no chance that that you're the father. And when she said it again, I was like, I just hung up. And
in that moment, did you know that, you know what, this is what I probably thought all along, but I didn't want to face it? Or were you in total disbelief?
Nah, I was really in total disbelief. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I didn't take the DNA test with the intention of him not being mine.
All right.
By that time, because at that time I wasn't on child support yet. And so I was just shocked. Actually, I take it back. Actually, I was on child support because that was the idea that I was trying to fight to. All I wanted to do was get off of child support.
After
I found out, because I wanted to stay in his life, and I wanted to, I was hurt, by finding out he wasn't mine, but I still wanted to, because he was.
The man recalls driving down Highway 161 when the truth struck. His hands tightened on the wheel as he heard the words again. There's no chance you're the father. His world stopped. Years of love, care, and sacrifice wiped away in seconds by a test result. Shock filled the courtroom as he admitted he didn't believe it at first. He took that test to confirm his bond, not to destroy it.
Getting ready to turn 5, so I was all he knew. And he got my whole name, so it was like, yeah, he's not my child, but I've been raising him like mine. But I didn't want to be held legally responsible at the time. And so that's when that AOP came back to, bite me.
Okay. Let me ask you this. How was that conversation with the mom after you found out what the results were?
Well, to be honest with you, she didn't do what I thought she would have done in that sense, because to be honest with you, she had already called and found out.
How did you find that out?
Because later on that evening, after me and her, I'm pretty sure I said some not so good things to her or whatever. And that next day later on that night, she ended up telling me that she.
He explains that he was already paying child support. He wasn't trying to abandon the child, only to understand the truth. His voice trembles when he says, I still wanted to be in his life. Even after the truth came out, his love didn't vanish. But he wanted fairness, not to be legally bound to a lie. The judge listens carefully, aware that love and law often clash in painful ways.
He had already called and got the results, like that morning.
Oh, wow.
So when I got the results, I was calling her at work, and basically at the time she was telling them to tell me like she was unavailable. Like she was at work, but she was busy. And she was like doing nursing or something at the time. So that wasn't weird.
Okay.
But the fact that she hadn't called me back, and I had called a couple of times, that was weird. And so my anxiety grew, because I'm thinking like, I'm not gonna lie, I thought she just knew, and was just like ashamed or embarrassed or whatever. But then when I found out she had actually called and got the information before I did, it made me feel even worse because I was like, why wouldn't you
Share the information.
share the information with me? You know what I'm saying? Or why wouldn't you? And so they created a whole whirlwind of issues because on one part I'm thinking, you know, did she know I wasn't the father this whole time? Or
When asked about the child's mother, the courtroom grows still. He reveals a new heartbreak she already knew. Before he got his results, she had called the lab and found out first. The betrayal deepened. She kept silent as he called again and again, desperate for answers. Why didn't she tell me? He asks aloud. The judge's eyes narrow. The silence between two people can sometimes speak louder than the truth itself.
you know, is this just a total shock to everybody? You know what I mean? And so they created a mixed emotional feelings. You know what I'm saying? And it killed our friendship at the time.
Understandably so. I think a lot of people can relate to what you're saying about how that pretty much destroyed you all's friendship. Mm-hmm. What impact did it have on your relationship with little Myron?
You know, in the beginning, it didn't really, cause he was still young. He was unaware of anything that was going on, and I wanted it like that. You know, so even though me and her, we wasn't necessarily saying eye to eye because I truly didn't believe anything she said to me at that time. You know, respectfully so, right?
He recalls the confrontation that followed. Harsh words, confusion, disbelief. She finally admitted she had known all along. The courtroom murmurs. He felt humiliated, deceived, left out of a truth that should have been shared. The betrayal wasn't just about paternity. It was about trust, broken beyond repair.
Right, because I've been thinking this, 4.5 years, and then I find out a whole human being is not mine, so I had no reason to, I still tried to respect her, but I didn't have a reason to trust her or believe anything she said. So in the beginning, it was, I would say normal as far as the relationship I had with him. It started to become abnormal because as weeks passed, like her nor her mom had even like really reached out to, I don't know, I can't say I required sympathy, but it was like no kind of, hey, you all right? Or I know this gotta be tough for you. It was almost as if everything just kept going for them, And so.
Do you believe she and her mom knew that he was not your child, or there was a possibility he was not your child?
The judge asks, and what about your friendship? His answer is heavy. It died that day, he says softly. Their years of connection vanished overnight. Yet his love for the little boy, his son in every way but blood, remained strong. He describes seeing the child's face, unaware of the chaos surrounding him, still calling him dad. The courtroom feels the weight of that innocence.
And I'm talking about before the phone call.
Yeah, before the phone call, actually, no, I don't. Okay. I didn't. But then it was conversations after we had found out, and he's not mine, and that's a fact. It was like she couldn't even agree to see the point, like, you didn't think it was nobody possible? And so after talking to several older women and friends and relatives and most females or most women, I came to the conclusion, all said the same thing. It's like, if there's a chance that you might have slept with somebody else in the time you conceive, that you might not want it to be this guy's or whatever, but and she couldn't even admit that.
Oh, wow.
So, and it took years for her to finally, for it to click to her. She was like, well, I always knew it was yours. And like, you didn't, because they didn't end up being the case. But the fact that she couldn't really admit that like early on or see.
Weeks pass, he says, and no one from her family reached out. No apology, no sympathy, no acknowledgement of his pain. Life for them went on, but for him, it had stopped. His voice cracks as he describes the emptiness, the confusion, and the quiet evenings spent wondering if any of it had ever been real.
That it created even more, like I don't think I was asking for an apology, but just more like, come on, you didn't think it was somebody else.
Empathy.
Yeah, like.
Right? Like you can relate to this. Put yourself in my shoes type
Yeah.
situation. Empathy.
Yeah.
All right. Did we ever find out who the dad was?
Then comes the most revealing part, the question of who the real father is. He explains that the mother refused to admit any possibility of another man. Even faced with proof, she denied it. She couldn't even say maybe, he recalls. The judge leans forward, not in anger, but in disbelief. Denial, he notes, can sometimes be a form of guilt.